All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. 250 ships stuck. Strait of Hormuz, an impact on global trade, which directly affects you.
Now let's tell you about the crisis unfolding on the high seas. There are 250 ships stuck in West Asian waters. This is the world's most important shipping corridor. It has effectively shut down, and this has direct consequences for you. Because most of the things that you use are transported by sea. This includes your food, your fuel, and many of the products that you use. They reach you through the global supply chain, and this conflict, this war, has frozen a key part of that supply chain. The Strait of Hormuz. We've been telling you about it on the show. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway. It connects the Persian Gulf with the wider ocean. At its narrowest point, this strait is roughly 33 kilometers wide. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil flows through here. The oil supply flows through here. 20% of the global oil supply goes through this strait. Plus, a number of other shipments also pass through it. Now, Iran virtually controls this waterway. It sits on the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz. So, if Iran wants, it can close the shipping route. Officially, Iran has not done that yet. But for all practical purposes, the Strait of Hormuz is shut. Ships are not moving through it because it's too risky. As of yesterday, at least 150 tankers were stuck in the Gulf waters. They were clustered off the coast of 3 countries: Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. These vessels are not in distress. They're just waiting and watching. They're not sure if it's safe to move just yet. In addition to these ships, another 100 tankers are stuck. They're anchored outside the Strait of Hormuz and along the coastlines of the UAE and Oman. So in total, there are 250 ships parked in these waters. It's not clear when they can move. Now look at what they're loaded with. There are tankers which move oil and LNG supplies, and there are container ships which carry goods for everyday use, including electronics, auto parts, food, and consumer products. The owners of these vessels do not want to take a chance, which is why they are waiting. Some of them have begun rerouting.
Yeah, so apparently this is a critical shipping point right here. All right, and the impact from this war is going to change everything, man. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? This is Mark 13:7. It says, when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. Okay? Verse 8, it says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be earthquakes in diverse places, and there should be famines and troubles. All right, this is part of that. Okay, this is a critical shipping point, man. All right, what did it say? Nearly 20% of the global oil supply passes through this narrow waterway. It says, with rising tensions, ships are hesitating to transit the strait. Tankers carrying oil and LNG, along with container vessels transporting food, electronics, and consumer goods, are waiting for clarity. All right, so this is a big deal. Okay, right? Mark 13:8 again. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there should be earthquakes in diverse places, and there should be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. See? All right, gas is already going up. How much more the food and, consumer products and all of that? And remember, Americans are already broke. All right, people are already finished. So when these price hikes are going to get worse. All right. Again, the beginning of sorrows.
Strong's G 5604, Odin. Odin.
All right, it says the pain of childbirth, travail pain, birth pains, intolerable anguish. Okay, it's going to get way entirely worse. It says, in reference to the dire calamities precede the advent of the Messiah. So before Yahweh Shai returns, all right, it's going to be even more dire calamities, man. All right, the Lord is just getting started. Okay, let me add on to that because this ties into it too. 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 7, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows, right? As we just read. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine. Okay, and we've been talking about this, the supply chain shortages, all right? What's going on in this part of the earth, the Strait of Hormuz, okay, on how this is going to affect, the supply chain, man, the food, commercial goods, all of that, the oil, the gas prices, okay, electronics, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils come? All right, let me jump down. Matter of fact, let's read some more. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, but for all these things they should not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. People are not paying attention. All right? See, people are not going to find out until it actually hits. All right? Behold, victuals should be good, so good cheap upon earth that they should think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, right? Let me jump down. Same chapter here, 2nd Ezra 16. Because what are we talking about? The beginning of sorrows, right? 2nd Ezra 16 and 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. Things are moving fast. This war, all right? How the Lord is speedily ushering in the war, Armageddon, nuclear war, World War III. Okay, the prophecy slack not. It says, verse 38, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. All right, look how prophecy is moving, man. In every way. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So again, once these shipments continue to get stuck like this, all right, and they have to reroute, it's like she was talking about, it's going to take longer to deliver the goods, man. Okay, this is all going to play into the great sorrows that's going to come upon this world. You see?
They're taking a different route. They're trying to avoid the troubled waters of West Asia. But that too is a problem because a route change means delays in delivery. More significantly, it means higher costs because now the ships will be taking longer routes. What's worse, insurers are cancelling contracts. As you may know, ships go with an insurance policy. They cannot travel without it. The insurance protects the goods that they're carrying from potential losses. But due to the current uncertainty, some insurers have refused to extend policies. Plus, the cost of insurance is rising because now there is more risk in moving goods. Consider a scenario. Say there is a $100 million vessel. Earlier, the insurance cost for the ship was $250,000 per voyage. The new cost is expected to be around $375,000 per voyage. That's an increase of more than 30%. And who will pay for this increase? The consumers, people like you and me. Shipping companies pass the extra cost to traders, traders pass it on to distributors, and so it goes on the chain. And in the end, it lands with the consumer at the checkout counter. This is not an unprecedented situation. The Strait of Hormuz has been under threat before. In 2019, tankers were attacked there, ships were seized, insurance premiums spiked. But the market recovered relatively quickly. This time, the scale of the disruption is quite different because this is not one single incident. This is a full suspension of movement. It involves hundreds of vessels and it's happening simultaneously. Also, there is no visibility on how long it may last. If the fighting stops, the ships will start moving again. But if the conflict drags on, the crisis will reach your petrol pumps and supermarkets, and eventually you will end up paying for the war in West Asia.
Powered.
Man, all right, get ready to pay more for less. All right, for less goods. All right, it's gonna get extremely tight. All right, this is Ezekiel 5. Okay, Ezekiel 5 and 16, it says, when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction. All right, this is judgment, man. All right, and which I will send to destroy you, I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. Right, this is where we at. Okay, again, the beginning of sorrows. So I will send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shah, have spoken it. All right. Now I was pulling this up in the chat, going into the Strait of Hormuz, okay, and just tied it in with Bible prophecy, right? It says the Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important trade passages on earth. When people study Bible prophecy about famine, war, and economic collapse, they often point to strategic choke points like this because they can affect the entire world quickly. Okay? As we read in 2 Ezra 16, how the plagues are not slack. Okay? Number one, why the Strait of Hormuz is so critical. It sits between Iran and Oman. It connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman in the global ocean. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through this narrow channel every day. Major exporters that ship through it include Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, and Iraq. If this passage were blocked by war or conflict, global trade would be heavily disrupted. Okay? Which, as she was going into it, the consumer is going to pay the price. The people. Number two, it says how a closure could cause global shortages. If the strait were shut down, oil prices, it says fuel prices worldwide would skyrocket. All right. Food production. Modern farming depends on fuel for tractors, fertilizer production, transportation, shipping disruptions. Many goods move by ships powered by oil. Supply chains will slow or stop. And remember, America doesn't make anything. They get all their stuff exported. All right? So this place is definitely about to be finished. This could create food shortages, inflation, economic collapse in weaker nations, all right? And we're all waiting for that collapse of this economy here, all right, as a result of this war. Number three, prophetic parallels in the Bible. Many people connect global supply crises with end time prophecies. Economic collapse and scarcity. Book of Revelation 5 through 6, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. This prophecy suggests extreme food inflation, scarcity of basic goods, right? Because this dollar, it doesn't hold value. All right. So people can't suffice, off their, off the money that they make, it's even more expensive to live, man. All right. The inflation, the devaluing of the dollar. All right. And like I said earlier, people are already finished. They're already broke. So when this thing hits, it's just going to get worse. Okay. You're going to see more people crashing out and crying on the internet and just ready to lose it. It says global trade breakdown, Revelation 18 and 11. The merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. This describes world trade collapsing, shipping, and commerce failing. All right, let's see if we can get some more. War affecting resources, Ezekiel 38. describes a major geopolitical war involving nations in the region surrounding the Middle East, as we see right now. Many prophecy watchers connect instability in that area with end time events, all right? As we've been doing lessons going into that, all right? Number 4, historical pattern in scripture. The Bible repeatedly shows a pattern: war, economic disruption, famine, social collapse, right? That's Jeremiah 28:8, right? Jeremiah 28:8 says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesy both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence, man. All right. Let's see. Number 5. Why this region matters prophetically. The Middle East sits at the center of biblical history and prophecy. Jerusalem, prophetic focal point. Babylon region, symbolic economic power. Major global trade routes intersect here. Control of energy routes like the Strait of Hormuz can affect the entire earth, aligning with prophecies describing worldwide economic stress. All right, scriptures talk about the perplexity of the people. All right, the great confusion that's going to grow on the earth. All right, we're in them times. In simple terms, if the Strait of Hormuz were blocked by war, oil supply collapses, shipping slows, food prices soar, poor nations face famine. This kind of global economic shaking mirrors the conditions described in Revelation and other prophetic scriptures, all right? And that's the point, man. And this is what we've been talking about, man. So, hey, just prepare for it. So that's it, man. Okay, the beginning of sorrows. Here we go. Shalom.